Hey there, it's Sunday morning still. It's around 11:30 right now. I released the video on this thing this morning and made this basically yesterday and finished building it around, I don't know, 6:30, closer to 7 o'clock actually. And then I edited the video last night. So a little bit of a time crunch to get it done this morning. I got up this morning and wrote the article after editing the pictures for it last night. Why did I have to do that so quickly? Well, okay, I got hung up on the weekend a little bit with going to get lumber. I went with Graham Howe to get some red oak is what I got out of it, about 200 board feet of it. I've got some out on the side of my shed. I made some of my usual lumber rack brackets to put up on the side. I talked about doing this before, so I'm looking around, where can I put this stuff? And this came to me, and so they're out there. And that was about 100, less than 100 board feet actually out there. I brought in some of the bigger pieces into the shop here. I'm gonna I don't know where I'm gonna put them. I got limited space inside here for this kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah, I got that, and I got a few furniture builds coming up that I'm probably gonna use it for, and that'll be fun. So I went a couple of days to do that. It was a couple hours each day, and basically I just kind of dogged it. Early in the week I was doing some other stuff around the house, and I knew this is what I was going to be doing, but I couldn't quite settle on how I was going to do it. I mean, I don't know, about 10 times over the past few years I sat down and I started to design this in SketchUp and really couldn't come up with a good way. Like originally it was going to be a rubber band, and the rubber band is over there on the floor because I brought it out to use. And then I rigged something up with very quickly and put the rubber band in between, and there was too much drag. Like it wasn't transferring the motion enough. And then I got to thinking about it because I thought about gears before, but I said to myself, if you don't make that with gears, it's just not going to look good. All right? It's not going to make a good looking thumbnail to attract people to watch the video. And I mean, okay, I'm going to be using this because it's awesome, all right? But mainly you want to make something like this to attract people to watch the video, get a bunch of views. And, we'll see how it does. It's doing all right so far this morning. But time will tell. By time, this time tomorrow, I'll have a better idea. A lot of people said, why don't you just use a box end wrench? I mean, obviously these people haven't tried to put a nut on a table saw before, especially with the box end wrench. Of course, the nut will just come right out the back, and then people say, well, why don't you put a magnet on the box end wrench and use, but then you don't have enough swing, all right? You don't have enough swing. So the cool part about this is you take the nut off, like you loosen the nut, you get this in there, and you take it off the rest of the way, and it's in there, okay? And then you set it down, you change your blade, you put the new one on, and then you take this up and you slide it in, and then you reinstall the nut, okay? So, and it doesn't come out the back because the back is closed like that, except for the hole for the shaft to go through, which is neat. What I really like about this is, and this was a questionable part when I was building it, is will this gear operate here with just that ring around it like that? How smoothly will that operate? So that was one of the first things I tested. And sure enough, it works really well. And if you watch the video, you'll see that I put a dowel in there before, thinking that I could crank it like that, but this is too small for that to operate properly. You don't have enough. Like if it was a bigger crank, it would work well. But I just cut it off and then I sanded it flush and got rid of it. What else can I talk about? Oh, the clamp. I went further with the prototype. You can see it here, and this is a piece of wood I clamped in there the other day, about 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago actually, and left it clamped up to see how well it would hold the pressure and if it would still stay normal and all that, and it does. Now what I did with this one is that I changed the downward angle on the threaded rod so it's 10 degrees again. Remember, okay, you'd have to watch those other videos to know what I'm talking about, but the original angle I was going to use was 10 degrees, and then I tried 5 degrees in the last prototype, and it was too flat. It wasn't giving me the down force that I need on this block to keep the block tight against the rail to keep it upright and parallel to that. So I've got considerable, like, I can't even turn that with my hand anymore, and it's good. Now I did angle this block back where it's a little bit, like I talked about before, but I think it might be even too much because, hold on, let me get a square. When I put the square on it, it's still angled back probably a couple degrees at least. So that's something else I'll have to change, measure that and reduce that. The other change I made with this, and let me undo it, and that falls out, is the wedge doesn't have sandpaper on it. It has rubber on there. This is another thing I was testing. This is the stuff that I've used on several different things. It's actually a mat that I bought at, I think it was Home Depot. It's like a yoga mat. I don't know if it's a yoga mat or not, but it was a full sheet, and it's rubber. You know, it's almost like it's shredded rubber that's glued together because it's got a definite texture to it, and it's hard, you know, and really super durable. So I tried that instead of the sandpaper. Like, the sandpaper works obviously, but the reason why I tried this was to see if it would work, of course. And the other big benefit is that the grip is immediate. The sandpaper, the grip is immediate too, but it needs some force to get it to stick, okay? And sometimes you'll have to hold the wedge in while you start tightening to get it to grip. Whereas the rubber here grips immediately without doing that. I mean, you just, hang on, let's slide this to the end. Get the wedge put in. Just drop it in like that. You just shove that ahead and you start tightening. And it grips immediately, it doesn't slip. Okay? And the size of the material, like how big it is, it doesn't compress either. Like, it doesn't squish. And I'm saying that because I know that people are going to say that. Well, there's a squish. No, it's a lot of surface area there. So it doesn't squish. So yeah, you can crank on that clamp and it grips immediately. So the shop is a crazy mess. I mean, that's the thing about trying to get something done quickly. You don't have time to put tools away or tidy up or anything like that. It's a big mess over there. It's a big mess here. It's a big mess everywhere. And then look at all the clutter I got down here. I really got to figure out something to do with that down there so that I don't have that clutter continuously piled up, you know? So what else? Oh yeah, I'm spraying the subwoofer. I've got, I don't know, I've lost count of the number of coats I've got sprayed on. You know, I was going black and then white and then black and then white. And then I did that for around 5 or 6 layers. And then I switched to 2 blacks and 2 whites and 2 blacks and 2 whites. And I did that for another day, which was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 coats, because you really have to let the paint dry. Not completely 100%, but dry enough so that it's not tacky in any way before you spray on the next layer. They have to be well-defined layers for it to look right, I think. And I started again this morning, but it's going to rain, so I don't know how much I'm going to get done. Tomorrow I can do some more. Basically, objective there is to use up the cans, the 2 cans that I had. I mean, they were $7 each, that's $14. That's not bad for what I'm looking for. And then I'm gonna let that dry for several days before I attempt to sand it. And then what I'll do is I'll sand it to get the pattern and then clear coat it again. And I may actually polish the clear coat like I talked about before. You know, with doing the piano black, I may do that with the clear coat. So, you know, I don't know, 6, 7 coats of clear coat on there, sand it up to 2000 and polish it. I think it'll look really slick with that zebra pattern.
There's just one thing, dude.
What's that?
You have to use so many cuss words.
The fuck you talking about?
Okay, dude. Have it your way. Take her easy, dude.